Hey bass players, today we're going to be talking about shifting with our left hand, changing positions on the fingerboard. So first I just want to review left hand technique on the bass. So when we hold down a string, we like to keep our finger nice and curved. We never like to flatten it out. And when we hold down the string, we do so with sort of this chubby part of our finger. Not exactly the tippity tip, and not exactly the entire pad, but right in between there. So I'll show you. When I hold down the string, my finger is curved. And you can see that while I'm using the pad of my finger, I'm not completely on the pad and I'm not flattening my finger out. It's maintaining that curve and staying beautiful. Now, before we get into the actual shifting, I just want to give you a little reminder. Shifting might feel uncomfortable at first in your fingertips because, well, there's a giant metal string digging into your skin. It's an obvious source of pain. But just be encouraged that over time, you're going to develop what's called callus. Callus is sort of a thickening of your fingertips that's going to allow you to slide and shift on the string without that sense of pain, unless you're playing a very long gig. So let's talk about shifting. We're playing the string and we're moving our arm down, never lifting up off the fingerboard. You can do it bowed as well. Let's talk a little bit about where the motion comes from. Our finger isn't really doing the work here. Yes, it's holding down the string, but the motion isn't coming from some kind of inching mechanism getting us down and down the string, right? The motion is actually coming from our arm. If you can see, my whole arm is pivoting. Just like when you shake somebody's hand, you sort of move and pivot the entire arm. It's not just a wrist, and it's definitely not just a finger when it comes to a handshake. It's the whole arm. The arm is a lot stronger than the finger, so when we use our energy coming from there, it's going to be more effective. So notice that when I go downwards on the fingerboard, my elbow goes up. This will be true even if I keep going. And when I go upwards on the fingerboard, my elbow goes down. So they're actually moving in opposite motion of each other. Now, how do we keep the string down when we're applying all this force? Well, it comes from squeezing between the finger and the thumb, be it the first finger, the first and second finger, or all four fingers. This is where the strength comes from. Now, it's a fine line between being firm enough to hold the string down while moving and actually getting tense. So the best way to practice is just to make those silly sounds that we're making. Squeeze down the string. You'll see that I'm holding it between my thumb and my forefinger, and then I play the string, and I try to find that balance between squeezing hard enough to hold it down and being able to slide. Now, you may have noticed by now that shifting with the bass takes even a little more energy than any other instrument. So the motion isn't just coming from the arm, but you can actually see my shoulder joint working as well. Be careful not to bunch up the shoulder and get really tense while you're doing that. Yes, my arm is moving. Yes, my shoulder is moving. But it still stays low. It's not coming up to help push the arm down. It's just staying relaxed and doing what a joint does, being flexible. Once you've gotten sliding up and down the fingerboard down on one finger, add two fingers. Use them together, 1 and 2. You may find this is even a little easier. Then add your third and fourth. Just for the sake of practicing, try to keep all four strings down on the string, even as you move. Now, if you're pretty early on in your journey as a musician, you're probably going to be practicing shifting between first position and second position. For example, on the G string, we have A as first position and B as second position. Here's Here's first, here's second. Practice going back and forth between the specific pitches, not just random sliding now, but very particular to that A and that B, making sure that you stop right when you reach there. The best way to practice this is with some kind of drone, even if someone else in the room is playing an A for you to get used to, or if you use a smartphone app in order to generate a pitch like A or B. You can also check the A against your open A. There it is. If I go too far down the fingerboard, it'll start to sound nasty. And too far up the fingerboard, it'll start to sound lazy. Another way to practice the shift between first and second position is to play A with your first finger, B with your fourth finger, and then switch the first finger to second position right where your pinky is. Your pinky is now the guide to the next note. I'll do that one more time slowly. I'm playing B with my pinky. I let go and I slide. And I use my ear and my eye to guide me. Now let's say you're playing a major D scale on the bass and you need to play A, B, and then C sharp under your second finger. Well, that's another shift, isn't it? So let's practice that one. I'll play G, A, B. Once I've found my B and I'm happy with it, I'm gonna slide not my fourth finger, or really even my second. I'm gonna focus on sliding my first and my second together. Check it out. Now, most of the hard work is coming from that first finger because it's really the strongest. But my second finger is coming along for the ride. My first finger lands on C natural, second finger on C sharp, and finally, I can finish my scale with my fourth finger. As you continue to play the instrument, one thing you're going to realize is that as you go up the fingerboard, the notes get closer together. Between A and B flat, for instance, two notes that are right next to each other, there's a lot of space. But if we played, let's say, D and E flat, the space becomes much closer. This has a lot to do with physics and the actual science behind sound. But just remember that you won't have to spread out your fingers so much when you're higher up in the fingerboard. And you won't have to shift as far as you're going for higher notes. All right, basses, with that, get to slipping, sliding, and shifting, of course. Make sure to keep that string down, your hands firm but relaxed, and let that motion come from your arm and shoulder. And I'll see you in the next video.